Hey children, welcome back to AP Macroeconomics with me, Mr. Fritz. Today we're going to talk about self-adjustment in the aggregate supply aggregate demand model. Alright children, we've all heard somebody at some point say that the market will adjust itself. Keep your hands off the market and it'll take care of itself. Well, this is how the market will actually take care of itself. In the first situation, we're in what's called a recession. Oh my goodness. We've had a negative demand shock. Something caused the economy to fall into a recession. Maybe consumer confidence fell and your aggregate demand shifted to the left, and now everything you own in a box to the left because we're in a recession, so we live in a box because we've lost our job. If we're gonna wait for the economy to fix itself, this can happen. As we're sitting in this recession for a time, the economy will adjust and we can get back to full employment output in the long run. What's happened here? Aggregate demand decreased. We fell into a recession. People have lost their jobs. The longer that people go without work, the longer that we spend over here in a recession and people are going without having a job, after a while, they'll start to accept lower paying jobs. Think about it yourself. Let's say that you used to work over here for $12 an hour in long-run equilibrium, but aggregate demand fell, and now you've lost your job. People aren't hiring, you can't find a $12 an hour job anymore, but after a while, you see that there's ads for $9 an hour jobs, and now that it's been quite a while that you haven't had a job, you say, okay, forget it, I'll take this $9 an hour job. And as a bunch of people in the economy start to do that same thing, wages start to fall. In a recession, there's downward pressure on wages. So as a bunch of people start taking these lower paying jobs, businesses will begin to hire back more people because they can pay them less money to do it. Short-run aggregate supply will increase as the businesses hire back more people due to the decrease in wages. Short-run aggregate supply will shift to the right. And now our price level has come down, but our unemployment rate has decreased too. We're back at full employment output. We are back at full employment, so our unemployment rate has gone down. It's just that things cost less now. Our wages are lower, but so is the price level. On the other side of the situation, if we're in an inflationary gap, so something has caused a positive demand shock, aggregate demand increased, and we're in an inflationary gap. Our unemployment rate is really low, but our prices are high. Okay, now we're gonna look at how the market would adjust itself in an inflationary gap. Same situation as before, this is gonna be a change in wages. As aggregate demand increased and we have a higher price level now, businesses are going to hire more people and try to make as much stuff as possible while the prices are higher and wages have remained the same. Over time, what we're noticing, people like you and me who are wage laborers, the ones that are actually working the jobs and getting paid wages. Before, when we were at full employment output, I was making $10 an hour and a pizza cost $10. So in 1 hour's worth of work, I was earning one pizza. Now, however, aggregate demand increased, our price level has gone up. Wages have stayed the same. Remember, in the short run, wages are sticky. This is a short run effect, an inflationary gap. So wages have remained the same. I'm still making $10 an hour, but prices for everything have gone up. So now that pizza cost me $11. So in 1 hour, I am no longer earning a full pizza. Over time, as me and other workers in this economy are experiencing this situation where our real wages have decreased and we're not actually making as much money as we did before when you take into account inflation, we're eventually going to demand an increase in our wages. So in an inflationary gap, there's going to be upward pressure on wages. Eventually, the longer that we go with the same wage and higher prices, we're eventually going to maybe go on strike or something. We are going to demand an increase in our wages. When that happens, businesses will increase pay, and now that it costs more for each employee, they're going to fire people so that they can maintain their profit margin. So as wages increase, they're going to fire some of these people and short-run aggregate supply will shift back to the left. So we got short-run aggregate supply shifting back to the left, and now our price level is higher. We've had an increase in the price level, so inflation is higher, but so are our wages, and our unemployment rate is actually going to go up in this case because remember, we were in an inflationary gap, and when that happens, your unemployment rate actually gets lower than the natural rate of unemployment. So if you recall, I said that the businesses hired more people in order to make as much stuff as possible before the wages increase. Well, once the wages increase, they get rid of those people and just go back to full employment output. Things to keep in mind here. Long-run adjustments, whether you're in an inflationary gap or a recessionary gap, are going to be due to a change in wages. So if you're in an inflationary gap, eventually short-run aggregate supply is going to shift back to the left toward long-run aggregate supply. Short-run aggregate supply is always going to be going back toward long-run, and it's going to be due to a change in wages. That was long-run adjustments in the aggregate supply aggregate demand model. In the next video, we'll talk about what will happen if you don't want to wait for this stuff to fix itself, if you want to actually do something to try to fix the economy. Goodbye, children.